Welcome back. I'm Pratap here. Today is the 3rd January 2025. In this video, I'm going to generate different supply demand zone reports useful to the premium subscribers. Even before that, all of you please understand we are providing complete free training on supply demand zone price action. You might be knowing the cost of the training is over 8,000 US dollars. And we are providing complete free training. And all the training lessons you can access at our NeoStock YouTube channel. At our channel homepage, please click on the tab Posts. Some of you might be seeing the tab Community. Click on the tab. You get access to this post. This post is having a YouTube playlist link that will take you to all the training lessons. You just click on the link. Now we are into the playlist Supply Demand Zone Price Action course. Here you have all the training lessons are available. You just need to scroll down to the bottom of the page. Here, starting from lesson 1.1, all the training lessons are placed in an order. So please go through all these lessons one by one and strengthen our skills related to supply demand zone price action. I have also provided the link to our Telegram channel in this video description. So from the video description, please join at our Telegram channel. It will be helpful to you because each time we release the new video or any other very important updates, we will be providing updates at our Telegram channel. Okay, now let's get into the report generation with the help of NeoStock Software Supply Demand Zone Top-Down Analysis Strategy Builder. Okay, first let us find the stocks near demand and supply zones for different time frames, starting with quarterly time frame. Stocks near quarterly demand zone. One stock is filtered. I'm giving you only few seconds time to watch the report. That's why I request you pause the video, study the report, and then you can proceed further. If any of you not able to understand the structure of this report, I request you complete the training lesson 21.1. In that video, I have explained each and every column, their values, abbreviations in detail. Okay, next. Quarterly time frame. Stocks near quarterly supply zone. 5 stocks are filtered. Next, monthly time frame, stocks near monthly demand zone, 7 stocks are filtered. Next, monthly time frame, stocks near monthly supply zone, 8 stocks are filtered. Next, monthly time frame, price closed inside the monthly demand zone. And these monthly demand zones should not be pierced. So at pierced count parameter, at monthly time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means pierced count should be 0. Pierced count 0 means zone is not pierced. Now let's filter. We got around 20 stocks. First 19 stocks in the list. I am scrolling the list down. So total 20 stocks are filtered where price closed inside the monthly demand zone. And we can further filter this list by adding monthly EMA Confluence so that there could be even more high probability setup supported monthly demand zones. So in the EMA Confluence, at monthly time frame, I am setting the filter monthly demand zone having monthly EMA Confluence. And when you set EMA Confluence, the trend should not be sideways on monthly time frame. I'm selecting up or down, but not sideways. Let's filter. We got 11 stocks. So these 11 monthly demand zones are high probability trade setup supported zones because all these monthly demand zones are having monthly EMA Confluence. Okay, next. Monthly time frame, price closed inside the monthly supply zone, and these monthly supply zones should not be pierced. So in the pierced count at monthly time frame, minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Let's filter. We got 4 stocks. Currently price closed in these 4 monthly supply zones. Let's verify any of these monthly supply zones are having a EMA Confluence. So in the EMA Confluence at monthly time frame, I am selecting monthly supply zone having monthly EMA Confluence. No stocks are filtered. So none of those supply zones are having EMA Confluence. Okay, this is about monthly time frame. Next time frame is weekly. Stocks near weekly demand zone. We got 14 stocks. Please remember, this is the end of the week. I will be generating several weekly reports that will be useful for traders who plan trades based on different weekly related reports. Okay, next weekly time frame, stocks near weekly supply zone. 7 stocks are filtered. Next weekly time frame, stock price closed inside the weekly demand zone, and these weekly demand zones should not be pierced. So in the pierced count at weekly time frame, minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Let me filter. Now we got a big list. First 17 stocks in the list where price closed inside the weekly demand zone. I am scrolling the list down. So total 30 weekly demand zones are filtered where price closed inside the weekly demand zone. We can further filter this list based on weekly EMA Confluence. So in the EMA Confluence at weekly time frame, weekly demand zones are having weekly EMA Confluence, and trend on the weekly should not be sideways. It can be up or down trend. Let's filter. We got 15 stocks. And all these 15 weekly demand zones are having weekly EMA Confluence. And price closed inside those weekly demand zones. Okay, next weekly time frame. Price closed inside the weekly supply zone, and these weekly supply zones should not be pierced. So in the pierced count at weekly time frame, minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Let's filter. So first 15 stocks in the list where price closed inside the weekly supply zone. I am scrolling the list down. So total 21 stocks are filtered where price closed inside the weekly supply zone. We can further filter this list based on the high probability parameter EMA Confluence. Let's verify how many of these weekly supply zones are having weekly EMA Confluence. At weekly time frame, weekly supply zone having weekly EMA Confluence, and trend on weekly should not be sideways. It can be up or down trend. Let's filter. We got 8 stocks. These 8 weekly supply zones are having weekly EMA Confluence, and also current price closed inside those weekly supply zones. Okay, next weekly time frame. Let us find the stocks tested during this week. Okay, these are the tested weekly demand zones. Good number of weekly demand zones are tested during this week. First 17 stocks in the list. These stocks having weekly demand zones are tested. I am scrolling the list down. So total 21 stocks are filtered. That means these 21 stocks having weekly demand zones are tested during this week. Okay, next weekly time frame. Let us find the stocks having supply zones. Weekly supply zones are tested. Oh, even more bigger number of supply zones are tested. I am scrolling the list down. So total 33 stocks having weekly supply zones are tested during this week. Okay, next weekly time frame. Let us find the newly created zones. So newly created weekly demand zones during this week. Oh my God, so many weekly demand zones are created during this week. These are the first 18 stocks in the list. I am scrolling the list down. So total 37 weekly demand zones are created. All these 37 stocks having newly created weekly demand zones. Okay, next. For weekly time frame, let us find the stocks having newly created weekly supply zones. 6 stocks are filtered. These 6 stocks are having newly created weekly supply zones. Okay, now we will also filter based on zone confluence also, because earlier we filtered based on stocks price closed inside the zones. Now we will mix demand zones, zone confluence and EMA confluence together. So weekly time frame, the weekly demand zones, first they should not be pierced at weekly time frame. Minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Okay. Now in the demand zone confluence, first let us filter based on weekly and monthly demand zone confluence related stocks. Zone confluence. Weekly demand zone with monthly demand zone confluence. Okay. And these weekly, because weekly zone is part of the monthly zone, the EMA confluence also let us add, because weekly is part of the monthly, so monthly zone having monthly EMA confluence. And trend at monthly time frame, because weekly is part of the monthly, that's why monthly zone trend should not be sideways, it can be up or down. So with these filters, we got a big list. Always look into the search strategy, you get clarity. We're looking for weekly, monthly zone confluence, and EMA confluence monthly with monthly EMA confluence. So first 16 stocks, these are the high probability setup zones. I'm scrolling the list down. All these are all weekly demand zones. So total 32 stocks are filtered. In all these 32 stocks, these weekly demand zones are part of the monthly demand zone, and that monthly demand zone is having monthly EMA confluence, and monthly trend is not sideways. Okay, now what we do, we will filter based on weekly, monthly and quarterly zone confluence. So we have to remove this EMA filter because they are, and also the trend also and monthly, because our focus is on quarterly HTF zone. So in the demand zone confluence, let us add 2 more additional filters. Already 1 filter and 2 more we need to add. Weekly and monthly zone confluence is added. Next, weekly and quarterly zone confluence, and monthly and quarterly demand zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF, HTF zone confluence. Assume LTF is weekly. And EMA confluence also quarterly we will set, because weekly and monthly together part of the quarterly. That's why quarterly demand zone having quarterly EMA confluence. Because we are setting EMA confluence, quarterly time frame trend should not be sideways. So quarterly trend I am selecting up or down. Now let's filter. Now the list is of somewhat less compared to the earlier one. I am scrolling the list down. So total 17 stocks are filtered. In all these 17 stocks, these weekly demand zones are part of the monthly, both together part of the quarterly, and the quarterly zone is having quarterly EMA confluence, and also quarterly trend is not sideways. Okay, this is about demand zones point of view. Now let us look for supply zones point of view on weekly time frame. So weekly time frame, the supply zones, weekly supply zones should not be pierced. So in the pierced count at weekly time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0, because entry time frame is weekly. And these weekly demand zones, supply zones should be having confluence with monthly demand zone. So I am enabling the filter weekly supply zone with monthly supply zone confluence. That means weekly supply zone is part of the monthly supply zone. That's why in the EMA confluence at monthly time frame, because weekly is part of the monthly, so monthly time frame I am setting monthly supply zone having monthly EMA confluence. Because we set EMA, the trend should not be sideways on monthly. So monthly trend I am selecting up or down. Let's filter. We got 9 stocks. These 9 are high probability setup weekly supply zones. Current price, some are inside the zone, some are outside the zone. You can always look into the signal type. Okay, now let us add one more HTF parameter to this list. LTF, ITF, HTF. How to remove EMA filters, because this time we have to apply on quarterly, because quarterly is HTF. So I removed EMA filters. So in the supply zone confluence, we should set 3 filters. First filter is already enabled, that is weekly with monthly confluence. Next, weekly supply zone with quarterly supply zone confluence. Monthly supply zone with quarterly supply zone confluence. All the 3 filters are enabled. That means weekly zone is part of the monthly, both together part of the quarterly zone. That's why we need to set EMA confluence on quarterly time frame. So quarterly time frame, I am enabling the filter quarterly supply zone having quarterly EMA confluence. Because we set EMA confluence on quarterly, trend should not be sideways on quarterly. So I am enabling up or down. With these filters, we got 4 stocks. So these 4 are high probability setup zones, supply zones. So this is about weekly time frame. Next time frame is daily. Entry time frame daily. Let us find the stocks near daily demand zone. 14 stocks are filtered. Let us identify high liquidity zone from this list. So Atul is having a high liquidity zone. And we don't have any other high liquidity zones. We have only one valid high liquidity zone. Okay, next, daily time frame. Stocks near daily supply zone. We got 5 stocks. Let us identify high liquidity supply zones. First one is indices not listed in F&O. We can ignore it. And L&T Finance, LTF. L&T Finance is a high liquidity zone. And PNB, Punjab National Bank, is also high liquidity supply zone. So we identify 2 high liquidity supply zones from this list. Okay, next, for daily time frame, price closed inside the daily demand zone, and these daily demand zones should not be pierced. So in the pierced count, at daily time frame, minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Let's filter. We got a big list, first 15 stocks. I am scrolling the list down. So total 28 stocks are filtered. Now let's identify how many of these zones are having a EMA confluence. In the EMA confluence at a daily time frame, daily demand zone having daily EMA confluence, and the trend on the daily time frame should not be sideways, so it can be up or down. Let's filter. See, now the list is come down to 10 stocks. These 10 are high probability setup daily demand zones based on the EMA Confluence. Okay, next, daily time frame. Price closed inside daily supply zone, and these daily supply zones should not be pierced. So in the pierced count, at daily time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Let's filter. So first 15 stocks in the list where price closed inside the daily supply zone. I am scrolling the list down. So total 20 stocks are filtered where price closed inside daily supply zone. We can further filter this list based on the daily supply zones having daily EMA Confluence, high probability setup parameter. So in the EMA Confluence, at daily time frame, I am enabling the filter daily supply zone having daily EMA Confluence. Let's filter. Now the list is come down to 11. From 20, list is come down to 11. These 11 daily supply zones are having daily EMA Confluence and also price closed inside the daily supply zones. Okay, this is about daily time frame. Next time frame is 125 minutes. Stocks near 125 minutes demand zone. 13 stocks are filtered. Okay, next 125 minutes time frame. Stocks near 125 minutes supply zone. 5 stocks are filtered. Okay, next time frame is 75 minutes. Entry time frame 75 minutes. Let us find the stocks near 75 minutes demand zone. We got a big list. 19 stocks are filtered. I am scrolling the list down. Okay. Now let us identify high liquidity zones from this list. 75 minutes demand zones. This is NIFTY reality. We can't use. It is not part of indices. I mean F&O. It is not in F&O. Apollo Tyres is a high liquidity zone. Cub City Union Bank is a high liquidity zone. Havels is having a high liquidity zone. And Shenzhen is having high liquidity zone. We identified total 4 high liquidity 75 minutes zones from this list. Okay, next 75 minutes time frame. Stocks near 75 minutes supply zone. We got 8 stocks. Let us identify high liquidity zones from this list. We don't have any high liquidity 75 minute supply zones from this list. Okay. Next time frame is 25 minutes. Stocks near 25 minutes demand zone. 15 stocks are filtered. Next 25 minutes time frame. Stocks near 25 minutes supply zone. 7 stocks are filtered. Okay, next time frame is 15 minutes. Stocks near 15 minutes demand zone. 8 stocks are filtered. We can further filter based on ITF confluence. That is 15 minutes and 75 minutes demand zone confluence. I am enabling the filter. Now the list is come down to 3 stocks. These 15 minute zones are part of the 75 minute zone. Okay. Next 15 minutes time frame. Stocks near 15 minutes supply zone. 6 stocks are filtered. We can further filter these stocks based on ITF confluence, zone confluence. That is 15 minute supply zone with 75 minute supply zone confluence. I am enabling the filter. Now list is come down to 3 stocks. These 3 supply zones are part of the 75 minute supply zone. Okay, next time frame is 5 minutes. Stocks near 5 minutes demand zone. 14 stocks are filtered. We can further filter based on the IT of confluence, that is 5 minutes demand zone with 15 minutes demand zone confluence. I am enabling the filter. 9 stocks are filtered. Some of these stocks are pierced zones, please ignore them. The first one and seventh one are not valid. Okay, next 5 minutes time frame. Stocks near 5 minutes supply zone. First 15 stocks in the list. I am scrolling the list down. So total 17 stocks are filtered where price is near to the 5 minute supply zone. We can further filter based on IT of supply zone confluence. That is 5 minute supply zone with 15 minute supply zone confluence. I am enabling the filter. Now the list is come down to 4 stocks. These 5 minute supply zones are part of the 15 minute supply zone. So this is about stocks near demand and supply zone for different time frames. Next, we will generate reports for NIFTY and BANKNIFTY supply demand zone chain. Let's generating a monthly supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. This is a monthly supply demand zone chain. Always look into the zone column to find high liquidity zone. Pierced column, any pierced zones, they are not valid for trading. And look into the LTF trend to find the trend of the current time frame you have selected. And apply these rules to the remaining reports. And also don't forget to pause the video when you are moving from one report to another report, because I am giving you only few seconds time to watch the reports. Okay, next. Weekly supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, daily supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, 125 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, 75 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, 25 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, 15 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. I scroll the list down to view more demand zones. Okay, next, 5 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. All these are all supply zones. I am scrolling the list down for the demand zones. Okay, this is about NIFTY supply demand zone chain. Next, let us generate a BANKNIFTY supply demand zone chain. So monthly supply demand zone chain for BANKNIFTY. Next, weekly supply demand zone chain for BANKNIFTY. Next, daily supply demand zone chain for BANKNIFTY. Next, 125 minutes supply demand zone chain for BANKNIFTY. Next, 75 minutes supply demand zone chain for BANKNIFTY. Next, 25 minutes supply demand zone chain for BANKNIFTY. Next, 15 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 5 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. So we have completed Bank Nifty supply demand zone chain. Next reports are about bullish and bearish trade setups for monthly, weekly, daily income trades. First, let us generate bullish trade setup for monthly income trade, entry time frame daily, entry zone demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at daily, I am selecting bullish. And the daily demand zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count, at a daily time frame, minimum value 0, maximum value 0. This is the first filter. Second filter, zone achievement should be violated opposing zone. Third filter is minimum odd enhancer score, it should be 12. And all three filters are applied to daily demand zone. Let's filter. We got 18 stocks supporting bullish trade setup for daily income trade. Out of these 18, some high probability zones are there based on high liquidity zones. But apart from that, we can further add more high probability based on zone confluence. First filter is LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. Let us filter. In the demand zone confluence, daily demand zone with weekly demand zone confluence, I enable the filter. With this filter, the list is come down to 14. So these daily zones are part of the weekly zone, and weekly trend is up. So if you set weekly EMA confluence for weekly zone, those stocks could be even more high probability setup supported stocks. Weekly demand zone with weekly EMA confluence. Now 11 stocks. All these 11 stocks are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Okay, next let us add LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence. That is a daily, weekly, monthly demand zone confluence. We have to remove EMA filter because that is ITF EMA confluence. So in the demand zone confluence, three filters we have to set. First filter is already we enabled, daily with weekly. Next, daily demand zone with monthly zone confluence. Weekly demand zone with monthly demand zone confluence. With all the three filters, we got 3 stocks. In these 3 stocks, these daily demand zones are part of the weekly demand zone, both together again part of the monthly demand zone. And monthly trend is up in all the 3 stocks. Because monthly trend is up, if any of these monthly demand zones are having monthly EMA confluence, those stocks are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let us verify. In the EMA confluence monthly time frame, because the daily and weekly together part of the monthly demand zone. That's why we are setting monthly demand zone with monthly EMA confluence. We got 2 stocks. So these 2 stocks are even more high probability trade setup supported demand zones. So this is about bullish trade setup for monthly income trade. Next, bearish trade setup for monthly income trade. Entry time frame daily, entry zone supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at daily time frame, I am selecting bearish, and daily supply zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count, daily time frame, minimum value 0, maximum value 0, zone achievement violated opposing zone, minimum odd enhancer score 12. All 3 filters are applied to daily supply zone. We got 2 stocks. So let us identify any of these 2 stocks are having ITF confluence. That is LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. That is a daily and weekly supply zone confluence. With this filter, we got both the stocks. That means in both these stocks, these daily supply zones are part of the weekly supply zone, and weekly trend is down. If any of these stocks are having weekly EMA confluence, they are even more high probability setup stocks. So weekly supply zone with weekly EMA confluence, we got 1 stock. So this is a more high probability trade setup supported stock. Next, let us look for LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence. Removing EMA filter. In the supply zone confluence, we should set 3 filters. First filter is already enabled, daily with weekly zone confluence. Next, daily supply zone with monthly supply zone confluence. Weekly supply zone with monthly supply zone confluence. With all the three filters, we got one stock. This is even more high probability trade setup because daily zone is part of the weekly and both together part of the monthly zone. And if monthly EMA confluence is also there, it is even more high probability trade setup parameter zone. Let's verify the EMA confluence at monthly, because the daily and weekly together part of the monthly zone. So we are setting monthly supply zone with monthly EMA confluence. So this is filtered. That means this is even more high probability trade setup supported stock, the supply zone. Okay, this is about bearish trade setup for monthly income trade. Next, bullish trade setup weekly income trade. Entry time frame 75 minutes. Entry zone, demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at 75 minutes time frame, I am selecting bullish. Now 75 minutes demand zone should not be pierced. So in the 75 minutes time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Zone achievement violated opposing zone, minimum odd enhancer score 12. All three filters are applied to 75 minutes demand zone. We got 10 stocks. All these 10 stocks are currently supporting bullish trade setup for weekly income trade. We can further filter these stocks based on high probability trade setup. Some of these zones are already high probability because of high liquidity zones. But even more high probability parameters we can add. The first one is zone confluence. First filter LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. That is 75 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence. With this filter, the list is reduced to 5. So that means in these 5 stocks, these 75 minute supply zones are part of the daily supply zone. And daily trend is up in all these stocks. So if the daily demand zone is having daily EMA confluence, that is even more high probability setup supported stocks. So let me add daily demand zone with daily EMA confluence. With this filter, 2 stocks are filtered. So these 2 are even more high probability trade setup supported zones. Okay, next let us add LTF, ITF, HTF zone confluence. Removing EMA filter. So in the demand zone confluence, 3 filters we have to add. First filter is already enabled. Second filter 75 with weekly zone confluence. Daily demand zone with weekly demand zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, we got 5 stocks. In all these 5 stocks, this 75 minutes demand zone is part of the daily demand zone, both together part of the weekly demand zone. And the weekly zone is having weekly EMA confluence with uptrend stocks, last 2 stocks. Then there could be even more high probability. Let us verify. Weekly EMA confluence they are having. In the EMA confluence, weekly time frame, weekly demand zone having weekly EMA confluence. 2 stocks are filtered. Ignore the first one because the trend is sideways. This is valid, uptrend. So second one is a even more high probability trade setup supported stock. Okay, this is about a bullish trade setup for weekly income trade. Next, bearish trade setup for weekly income trade. Entry time frame 75 minutes, entry zone, supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at 75 minutes, I am selecting bearish. And the 75 minute supply zone should not be pierced. So in the 75 minutes time frame, minimum value 0, maximum value 0, zone achievement VOZ, minimum odd enhancer score 12. All 3 filters are applied to 75 minute supply zone. Now let's verify. We got 11 stocks. All these 11 stocks are currently supporting bearish trade setup for weekly income trade. Okay, out of these 11, few are already high probability based on high liquidity zones. We can further add some more high probability parameters, zone confluence. Okay, first filter is LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. That is a 75 minute supply zone with daily supply zone confluence filter is enabled. With this filter, the list is come down to 8 stocks. In all these 8 stocks, these 75 minute supply zones are part of the daily supply zone. And daily trend is down in all these stocks, ITF trend. So that's why let us add the extra filter EMA Confluence on daily time frame, because 75 minute supply zone is part of the daily supply zone. That's why I am enabling the filter daily supply zone with daily EMA Confluence. So 4 stocks are filtered. These 4 are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Okay, next filter is LTF, ITF and HTF supply zone confluence. So I am removing this EMA filter. In the supply zone confluence, 3 filters we have to set. First filter is already enabled, 75 with daily. Second filter, 75 minutes confluence with weekly supply zone. Daily supply zone confluence with weekly supply zone. This is the third filter. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF, HTF, supply zone confluence, we got 3 stocks. In all these 3 stocks, the trend is a downtrend, weekly trend. If any of these stocks are having weekly EMA confluence, the supply zones with weekly EMA, they are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let us verify weekly supply zone with weekly EMA confluence. 2 stocks are filtered. These 2 are even more high probability trade setup supported supply zones. These are 75 minute supply zones. So this is the bearish trade setup for weekly income trade. Next, daily income trade bullish trade setup, entry time frame 15 minutes, entry zone demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at 15 minutes, I am selecting bullish. 15 minutes demand zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count at 15 minutes time frame, minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Zone achievement VOZ, minimum odd enhanced score 12. All 3 filters are applied to 15 minutes demand zone. Let's filter. We got 10 stocks. These 10 stocks are supporting bullish trade setup for daily income trade, and entry time frame zones are 15 minutes demand zones. Out of these 10-15 minutes demand zones, there could be some high probability setup supported zones. Some are already high liquidity zones, but we can also add one more high probability parameter, zone confluence. So the first filter is LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. That is 15 minutes and 75 minutes demand zone confluence. I enable the filter. With this filter, the list is come down to 7. In all these 7 stocks, these 15 minutes demand zones are part of the 75 minutes demand zone. And 75 minutes trend is down in all these, up in all these stocks, uptrend. So that's why if the 75 minutes demand zones are having daily EMA confluence, those stocks could be even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. So in the EMA confluence, 75 minutes demand zone with daily EMA confluence, we got 2 stocks. So these 2 are even more high probability trade setup supported 15 minutes demand zones. Okay, next we will add one next filter, LTF, ITF and HTF demand zone confluence. First we have to remove EMA filter. In the demand zone confluence, 3 filters we have to add. First filter is already enabled. That is 15 minutes with 75 minutes zone confluence. Second filter, 15 minutes with daily demand zone confluence. 75 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, we got 4 stocks, LTF, ITF, HTF, supply zone confluence. And except the third, remaining 3 stocks are having uptrend, the HTF, that is a daily trend. So that's why let us look for daily demand zone with daily EMA, because 15 minutes together with 75 minutes zone is part of the daily zone. So that's why in the EMA confluence, daily time frame, daily demand zone with daily EMA confluence filter is enabled. We got 2 stocks. So these 2 are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks, because the daily trend is also uptrend in both these stocks. So daily demand zone having daily EMA confluence. So this is about bullish trade setup for daily income trade. Next, bearish trade setup for daily income trade. Entry time frame 15 minutes, entry zone supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at 15 minutes, I am selecting bearish. The 15 minute supply zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count at 15 minutes time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Zone achievement violated opposing zone. minimum odd enhanced score 12. All three filters are applied to 15-minute supply zone. Now let's filter the stocks. We got 6 stocks. So these 6 stocks are currently supporting bearish trade setup for daily income trade. Entry time frame, entry zones are 15 minutes supply zones. Out of these 6 15-minute supply zones, some are high liquidity zones and already they have some high probability to get success. So let us add some more high probability parameters, that is a zone confluence. Zone confluence, 2 variations. First one is LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. First let us filter based on that. That is a 15-minute supply zone with 75-minute supply zone confluence. I am enabling the filter. So with this filter, we got 4 stocks. In these 4 stocks, these 15-minute supply zones are part of the 75-minute supply zone. If any of these 75-minute supply zones are having daily EMA, those stocks are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let us verify. In the EMA confluence, at 75 minutes time frame, 75-minute supply zone having daily EMA confluence. So we don't have any EMA confluence supported stocks based on LTF and ITF. Now let us look for LTF, ITF and HTF supply zone confluence. I am removing EMA filter here. So in the supply zone confluence, 3 filters we have to set. First filter is already enabled, that is 15 minutes with 75-minute supply zone confluence. Second filter, 15-minute supply zone with daily supply zone confluence. Third filter, 75-minute supply zone with daily supply zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF and HTF supply zone confluence, we got only 1 stock. So in this stock, this 15-minute supply zone is part of the 75-minute supply zone, both together part of the daily supply zone. And daily trend is a downtrend for this stock. If this daily supply zone is having daily EMA, this stock is even more high probability trade setup supported stock. Let us verify. In the EMA confluence, at daily time frame, daily supply zone having daily EMA confluence filter is enabled. So it is filtered. That means this is even more high probability trade setup supported supply zone. So this is about bearish trade setup, daily income trade. And in the final report, let us generate stop buffers based on daily ATR. First 17 in this list are indices, remaining all are equity stocks. So I keep on scrolling the list down, whichever the stock you want to refer, there you please pause the video. After that you can proceed further. Okay, I am scrolling the list down. So this is the end of the report. Hope this information will be useful to you for your further study and analysis. Let us all meet again in our next video. Thank you.